shout out to all of our viewers over on YouTube. And who is next? Who's up next?
I guess that would be me. I have a few topics that I was going to cover tonight, and I'll pretty much just try to fit them all into my small amount of time here. But with tonight's subject being on pseudoscience, I felt that a brief overview of some things that you may not have known were pseudoscience, or maybe you might have just wanted to know more about it. So tonight, I've got 4 things selected to talk about: crop circles, Dogon people of Sirius B. I really hope I don't butcher this name. Eric von Deniken or something. Sorry, it's the original ancient astronauts guy, and then full moon lunacy. So to start off, we're talking about crop circles. Everybody knows crop circles. They're in popular culture all over the place. But crop circles, or corn circles as they are called in the UK, was a drunken mistake by 2 Englishmen in the late 1970s. They had the idea of creating fantastic geometric shapes in cornfields so that they could be seen from the sky. Due to copycats and the tabloid media, of course, the crop circle phenomenon grew in popularity. They even have a name for people that study crop circles: serologists. They are people that specialize in the study of crop circles. For the most part, they are known for the hoaxes that they are, but still some cling to the idea that some of them, or all of them, are genuine. They were often pranced out as evidence in the 80s and the 90s. Regardless of the fact that they are hoaxes, they are impressive works of art in many cases. So let's start off with the paranormal explanations and see what they have to say. And then what we're going to do is walk back over the bridge to reality and actually learn some useful knowledge. So despite having the original prankster drunks fess up in 1991, many today still believe that they are carved by UFOs visiting our planets. People that believe this completely disregard the illogical nature of aliens being able to perfectly avoid radar detection, yet not smart enough to realize that their ship made indentations on fields. Other theories state that aliens are so bored cruising around space that they felt the need to come here and leave coded messages in tall grass to confuse the simple creatures on Earth. These are just some of the popular explanations among those that actually believe that the crop circles are real. Other explanations include plasma vortexes, secret government activity, because this stuff just doesn't go without some kind of secret government shit going on, or Earth energy. Theories that include alien activity also completely disregard the fact that it would mean that among all of the advanced technology they had on their ships, they carried wooden planks and a rope so that when they meticulously proceeded to bend the stalks in order to create the designs, they just didn't have any other better tools. So there are some out there that don't believe that aliens carved them out, but instead try to come up with some kind of natural explanation for them. And some of these natural explanations include isolated tornadoes and ball lightning. Theoretically, it could account for the bending of the stalks, but it's highly unlikely, especially due to no evidence whatsoever actually supporting those hypotheses. And the complexity of most of the crop circles makes it highly unlikely that they were created by natural forces. Now, back over to the side of reality, all the explanations explained above really seem unnecessary when you consider the fact that there are people and teams of people out there whose hobby is precisely to build crop circles. There was even a competition in 1992 for it. The competition is noteworthy here because the forms that were required in the competition were ones that are supposedly hard to fake. The competition was an awesomely successful experiment in proving that humans could not only make the complex designs, but also do it without leaving a trace that they were there. Numerous tools were used to accomplish this, including ropes, telescopic rods, wood planks, and specially linked ladders that would allow the crop artists to leave the field without there being a trace of them. So now to go on to the Dogon people of Sirius B, this was actually really interesting for me to read about and figured some stuff out about. The Dogon people are actually a group of people in Mali, Africa. The first reported contact with this ethnic group was in 1903 by a French colonial army lieutenant, Louis Desploignes. Two French anthropologists studied the group in 1931, which they periodically did studies on for 30 years. Supposedly, the two anthropologists had met with the Dogon elders and were told of details about Sirius B that seemed like they shouldn't have known considering the current level of technology. They described the orbit of Sirius B to include surrounding planetary bodies, orbit time, and weight. These descriptions they gave came pretty fucking close to the actual stats of Sirius B. And the Dogon mythology involved that star, Sirius B, and this belief, and they claim that this belief is thousands of years old. Since Sirius B is unable to be seen with the naked eye, questions were raised as to how they could know this shit. It is also claimed that they knew of Saturn's rings and Jupiter's moons. Now, just to prance out a little bit more crazy because it's not fucked up already, Robert Temple claimed that the Dogon were visited by an alien race about 5,000 years ago who imparted knowledge onto this group of people. The Dogon's actual mythology is the basis for this hypothesis. But the myths were mistranslated. Instead of their Lord Nomos coming to Earth from Sirius B, the myth actually says that he came from Sirius. This is comparable to believing that Stargate is real because the U.S. is carrying out extraplanetary missions since the late 90s. Another crazy-ass idea is that large amounts of melanin in the skin of the Dogon people gave them the ability to pick up on certain vibrations from Sirius B. Currently, there's no fucking proof of this horseshit whatsoever. This idea totally disregards the fact that many other peoples in Africa are known to have large amounts of melanin in their skin, and yet they don't have this magical ability to sense vibrations from Sirius B. Heading back over to reality now, even if the anthropologists were correct about the Dogon belief system, they don't go anywhere to prove that ET got stranded in Africa and shared information with these guys in an effort to phone home. Sirius B had been discovered in the 19th century, and it was well known by the 1920s, so any European traveler coming through the area might have shared the information with the Dogons. And that is a much easier explanation than aliens visited and gave them the information. Let's see, I lost my place, sorry. Although the anthropologists may not be correct, the source of the beliefs that they stated is a very limited circle of people, and when another anthropologist studied the Dogons, he stated that knowledge of the stars is not important either in daily life or in ritual to the Dogons. The position of the sun and the phases of the moon are more pertinent for Dogon reckoning. No Dogon outside of the circle of the informants had heard of either Sirius or Sirius B. Most important, no one even within the circle of the informants had heard or understood that Sirius was a double star. So if that observation is indeed true, then none of the explanations above even mattered because it was pretty much all bullshit to begin with. Hey, who wants to learn about the ancient astronauts and where they came from? Let's.
I do.
Okay. Let's run through this. Okay, so the subject of ancient aliens.
Do they come from Kolob?
Yeah, you would think. The subject of ancient aliens is a pretty vast one, and there's actually a good like hours and hours long refutation of ancient aliens in general on YouTube. I would suggest anybody watching to actually go and check that out. But what I want to actually highlight right now is basically the man that started the entire fuckery that is ancient astronauts. That's Erich von Däniken. And he was a Swiss writer that actually convinced himself and a lot of other people that his science fiction books were actually true, when in reality they're about as real as a $3 bill. This guy was the person best known for this horseshit, but then Giorgio stepped up and took that position for the next generation. Many of his claims are said to be not even wrong, that I was talking about before. If you missed that part, and being not even wrong means that your argument or your premise or anything doesn't even meet the criteria for checking whether or not it's accurate or inaccurate. That's pretty impressive in my opinion to be able to do that. But anyways. It generally comes up when someone not only doesn't make a valid point, but seems to not even know the nature of the discussion that they're having. This guy used his experiences as a hotel manager to write his first piece of shit book in 1968. He even constructed a theme park to display his crackpot ideas. Oddly enough, that sounds really familiar right now. Most of his books simply rehash the same tired old shit over and over again. His first book, Chariots of the Gods, which I will point out that most of his books end with "of the gods," I guess for dramatic effect. But he claims that aliens visited our planet thousands of years ago and lent a hand in the construction of different monuments all over the world and fucked with human evolution as well as started religious mythology. He uses quote-unquote evidence, such as a map that depicts land below the ice of Antarctica, computer astronomy from Egyptian and Incan ruins, and a spaceport in the Andes, as well as ancient nav charts for space, as well, again, as any humanoid figure in ancient drawings that he claims are astronauts. The book simply just shows off his stupidity and inability to grasp simple concepts and blatant racism, as he believes that only modern white people are capable of innovation, imagination, and engineering. None of his books or claims really matter when he's a known fraud. He was not only convicted of embezzlement and tax evasion after his first book release, but he also admitted to forging many of the ancient artifacts allegedly depicting alien visitors. So, I mean, if you're fine with taking shit from a known fraud and just blatantly believing that, then you might as well be Mormon.